Hey, Mayor.
So we'll go ahead and get started with the call to order the regular scheduled Apex Town Council meeting for Tuesday, January 12th, 2021, our first council meeting for 21. And I would like to welcome those who have joined us live stream. And before we get started, I want to take a roll call for all council members in attendance. So when I call your name, please answer here. Mayor Pro Tem Dozier.
Here.
Councilmember Killersworth.
Here.
Councilmember Gant.
Here.
Councilmember Stallings.
Here.
All right. And Councilmember Mahaffey.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We can move on. All right, before we get started, I want to give you a few reminders. All votes tonight will be by roll call, so I'll call your name when that time comes. And we'll go ahead and get started with an invocation before we get to regular business. But I want to read a statement first. The town of Apex values and celebrates diversity and inclusion. We see diversity as a strength that binds our community together. Inviting members from different faith communities to deliver an invocation at the beginning of our council meetings supports this unity. Recognizing that not everyone practices the same traditions, we welcome you to take a private moment of silence during this time. And tonight, lead the invocation will be Council Member Cheryl Stallings. So Cheryl, takes away.
Okay, I invite you to pray with me. Creator God of many names, we give you thanks for this day and for this opportunity to be together as we work to make decisions on behalf of our town. We ask for wisdom and guidance as we work for the greater good of our community. We also give thanks for our town employees and first responders who work hard every day to serve our residents. We lift up those in our midst who are struggling in various ways, and we ask that they be comforted and strengthened. Use us as your instruments to be good neighbors to one another and to offer assistance to those in need. We also lift up our nation, who has recently witnessed milestones and accomplishments, in addition to violence and loss of life. Grant us the strength and courage to hold one another accountable and to stay engaged with each other, especially in challenging times, to problem solve and resolve conflicts in nonviolent ways. Help us to be the people that you call us to be. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And we'll get the flag up before we start.
Flag is lifted.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We'll now move to presentations. We have one presentation tonight, and it is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I have a proclamation for that day, and I'll read that proclamation at this time. Whereas on January 15, 1929, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of the most influential orators for peace, equality, and human rights in world history, was born in Atlanta, Georgia. And whereas throughout his life, Dr. King's words and actions inspired a vision where people transform the jangling discourse of our nation into a beautiful sympathy of brotherhood. And whereas Dr. King sacrificed his life to spread a message of universal equality and justice that touched the soul of our nation, he created efforts to end racial segregation and discrimination through civil disobedience and other nonviolent means. And whereas Dr. King's message continues to resonate with the world today by reminding us of the imperative to continue the fight for justice and equality, no matter the opposition. And whereas people throughout the world continue to be inspired by Dr. King's vision, his strength, character, compassion, and his model for peaceful demonstration and dialogue. And whereas Dr. King's goal of a just and united society have continued since his tragic assassination in 1968. and will go on until his dream of freedom, equality, and justice for all is fully realized. Now, therefore, I, Jacques K. Gilbert, Mayor of the Town of Apex, proclaim Monday, January 18, 2021, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and call upon all citizens of Apex to pay tribute to the life and works of Dr. Martin Luther King, signed this 12th day of January 2021. And if we could get a virtual hand clap, that would be great. All right, thank you. We'll now move to the consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered routine to be enacted by one motion with the adoption of the consent agenda and without discussion. If a council member requests discussion of an item, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. And it has been brought to my attention that we have two changes to the consent agenda. Actually, one change for consent item number 15. And then we also have another add-on, which would be 16, to set a public hearing for economic development. So with those changes, can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved. Mahaffey?
Okay.
Second. Killersworth.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So we have a motion, Mahaffey, second, Killersworth. All right. We'll do a roll call vote. If you would respond by saying aye when I call your name, if you're in agreement or accepting, and no for any other. So Mayor Pro Tem Dozier.
Aye.
All right. Councilmember Killersworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Gant.
Aye.
Councilmember Stallings.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mahaffey.
Aye.
All right. That passes unanimously. All right. We'll move now to set the regular meeting agenda. And the only change I have for that is under new business. I think there was a typo. We'll change under presentation by town manager. It's showing new business 1 should be new business 2. So that's one change we'll make. With that change, do I have a motion to set the regular meeting agenda?
Motion to approve, Gant?
All right, motion Gant.
Second,
A
Mahaffey?
second at Stallings.
I think Mahaffey beat you, Stallings, so second Mahaffey. All right. If you're in favor, we'll go roll call vote, say aye. If not, no. Mayor Pro Tem Dozier.
Aye.
All right. Councilmember Killersworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Gant.
Aye.
Councilmember Stallings.
Aye.
Councilmember Mahaffey.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. We're now moved to the public forum, and this is opportunity for our community members to present any concerns or accolades or anything of concern for our community. And with the virtual meeting tonight, to my knowledge, we don't have any submissions for the public forum. So we'll move on, and we'll close public forum now. And we'll now move to new business and new business discussion and consensus regarding 10 of the 17 North Carolina League of Municipalities legislative goals. The Town Council wishes to have our appointed delegate vote for in the NCLM goals process and a motion to appoint an elected official as our designated delegate. So I know Mayor Pro Tem, you had initiated this for conversation in our meeting. And would you like to lead this discussion tonight?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mayor Gilbert. Can you all hear me okay?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's always, and I'm looking to the side to look at my screen here with this up, but I think it's always important at any level of elected official to ensure that you are an advocate for your citizens, for your constituency, to other levels of governments as high as you can go. And so with the League of Municipalities serving in the role that it does, while it may not take on every issue or value that we have because it represents all the municipalities that are joining, but certainly many of the concerns and issues that are important to us are things that they value and also will then push for and advocate and lobby. And so I just wanted to make sure that our voices and Apex were in there, included into anything that they would do. So, as far as the goal statements, I think these are. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna go down to so 10 of the 17. So I'm not sure, Mayor Gilbert, how you would like me to kind of go through these. What's the best way? Because there's so much here.
Yeah, so
What's your pleasure? Yeah.
yeah, let's just go through them all, and then we'll come back
Okay.
around and collectively figure out which one are the top 10.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll start with the first one. Grant local governments the authority to build broadband infrastructure in order to partner with private providers, provide additional funding to help close the digital divide. And I won't read all the reasons why, but I will just summarize and say, due to the pandemic, we know that people need to learn from home, work from home, and stay connected from home to stay safe at home. And so broadband is one of those things, infrastructure that needs to be equitable across the state. And so while we may not worry about it as much in Apex, but it still can be an issue for people are here. But it's across the state, and as one state, I think it's important for us to push for all the state to have equitable access. Number 2 is secure federal and state aid directly to municipalities to offset lost revenues due to the pandemic. And that simply, I won't read all of the bullets here. You have them in front of you. But the way I think about that is that we are the people who see the people first. And so for us to have access to be able to both support the people in our community, whether it's business owners and or people who are residents in both, the money coming directly to us is the best way for us to control that it gets to the people that really need it in the quickest way possible. Another goal is to expand incentives and fundings for local economic development. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And I will do a couple of these. It talks about job growth, job creation, film tax credits, renewable energy, things like that. Next is refine economic tier designation system. I'm sorry about that. So to reflect more of the conditions at the sub-county level, there it speaks a little bit more about how we can lose out on grants and other types of funding because we don't adequately impact the community's wealth. And so in having a system that's tiered, then it will be more equitable across the communities, across our municipalities. Revitalize vacant and abandoned properties with enhanced legal tools and funding. I think everyone is clear about what aesthetics means to Apex and how when things are not when they're empty, they're not thriving, and how that's sort of not the best for people who want to help and do things in their communities. And then we also see the evidence of when people are able to do things with properties to enhance not just their own economic development and ours, but the quality of life of people, just to see great spaces and their abilities in their communities. And also here, people don't think about how it addresses local housing needs when we're able to do that. Some of our programs that we put in place actually do that. Next is increased state and federal funding for affordable housing. That doesn't need a lot of conversation. I think people know that we make that a priority, and the staff sort of work towards that. And so with community from youth to advocates to elected officials to all types of people who are dealing with housing, all having the goal of affordable housing and the different ways that we were able to attack it and set up an infrastructure for success there. Next is create a permanent and adequate funding stream for local infrastructure needs. So we've talked a lot about, stormwater and sewer, job creation and parks and beaches and things. We have to think about not just us. I know we don't have beaches, but again, we're just one of a few of the towns and municipalities in our that are part of this League of Municipalities. And so how do we then support permanent adequate funding stream for all local infrastructure needs? Provide funding. The next is provide funding to help to keep aging water and sewer systems financially solvent today and viable for the future. In the study, it says that our state will need $17 billion with a B to meet our needs related to infrastructure. So it looks like we are pretty much behind on that. So that's what that is about, related to water and sewer, obviously, for our taxpayers. Next is ensuring state funding for any new and state mandated benefits for municipal employees. As a chair of personnel, and for those, all of us are so interested in how excellent service is provided, because you provide excellent compensation and pay and other things for employees. So, we know by some of the things that we asked the manager to come up with about, like, just showing, where we started from a few years ago to now, and during the pandemic, be able to support employees is the only way you can support your citizenry. The next is improve statewide funding and support for LEO training, focused on use of force, mental health, and de-escalation skills. And so you see, I'll read this one since it's bolded, but it says highly publicized incidents of police use of force in 2020 have underscored the need for enhanced and expanded law enforcement training. And it speaks about building trust and legitimacy in the community. All the things that we've all been focused on in the community and been focused on as well locally. But we need training, and that means dollars too, and commitment to be able to do that well for our department and our citizens. Permit all cities to establish a police department citizen review board. That's pretty self-explanatory too. It's approved. This was approved by the General Assembly. And there's an option there to provide boards that meet the local needs, and will be supported by local residents who can help build trust within the community and work hand in hand with law enforcement, the community, and other town staff. Allow a short grace period for online posting of local emergency declarations while allowing them to take effect immediately. And that's pretty self-explanatory, wanting people to understand when there's weather issues or power outages, natural disasters, so people will be informed and fully be able to respond, and us as well. Increase public safety grant funding and expand allowable uses. We understand that we need to, that public safety communications needs more funding to be able to get that information to our citizens, and other alternative programs related to mental health calls, and so how we support when those calls come through, and get the right team and people to help support people who are need help in mental health crisis is one of those examples there. Extend notification timeline for any changes to sales tax revenue disbursement. And we think that's important to let people be able to respond and react to what they may need to pay to help provide for the proper services that their town may need, and be prepared for that. Reduce pressure on property taxpayers by expanding locally controlled options for revenue generation. That's to help with the large swings that are based on economic changes, to have a diverse local tax structure. Helps people, helps the citizenry, and helps us be able to plan and understand what our needs will be to meet our budgets. And I'm almost done. The increase in state funding to support public transportation development operations. We always talk about people want to not just live here, but work and play. And so public transportation helps a lot more people be able to engage and live and work and play. And in different ages as well, a diverse group of people throughout our town. And the last one is improve processes and payments for moving utility lines located in the right-of-way during transportation projects. So that's the NCDOT charges us to move these lines for our projects, and it can be quite costly. So that's one of the things there that this would deal with. So that's a lot, but those are all of the 17 or so options, and we have to select 10, and also select the elected officials, I guess, to support this.
All right, well done. Thank you so much. And again, I know you actually recommended this to be added to the agenda. So this is what I would suggest. Have you determined your top 10? Do you have a top?
Of course not. I will wait. Okay. Well, I mean, I do, I do have some. I mean, many of them, I think, for me, they're all very important and very good, but I think I would focus on things related to crises support, things that's hard to get other money for, things like that. So.
Okay, let's do this then. We'll
Okay.
come back to you, Mayor Pro Tem, and we'll just go around and have each council member to, comment on the 17 and just, just talk about the importance of and maybe actually see Councilmember Mahaffey. I think he's raising his hand. So we'll start with him.
Prior to the meeting, Mayor, I ordered the 17 into my top priorities, and I don't know. I guess I can go through the list or.
Sure.
So number one, I have number 15, which is to reduce revenue pressure on property taxpayers by expanding local controlled options for urban generation. I think that's should be a high priority for municipalities. I think it's the most important. My second priority is number 6, affordable housing funding. Goes without saying, it's a focus in Apex and around the state. Where's my number 3? Number 16, state funding for transportation. Again, a big issue for Apex, given the projects around 64, 55, 1010 that have been delayed. Number 4 is number 7, again related to infrastructure funding streams. My 5th is the first one, broadband. It's again, as the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, not something directly in Apex, but still a real important issue for our state that I think we should get behind. And number 6 is the 9th one, referring to state funding for state mandated benefits, municipal employees. Not a big fan of unfunded mandates. Moving on, number 10 is my next priority for LEO funding. Training is something we do a lot in Apex, and having some support from the state, I think, would be helpful to us along with our aides. Number 8 on my list is state and federal aid. The second one on the list. This is something that has been in the news for quite some time, and the reason this didn't rank higher, and in fact some of the other items on the list didn't rank as high. I found myself kind of leaning towards stuff which I think balancing between the importance to Apex and the likelihood that it will happen, or the likelihood that our influence or the NCLM's influence will make a difference here. And this is one which is super important, but I'm not sure that the NCLM can effectively make a difference here. And there's a lot already said about this.
Mr. Mahaffey, was that number 2, lost revenues?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was I? My number 9 was number 13, to give flexibility for public safety grant funding. Number 10 was expanded incentives for funding and local economic development. 11 was number 11, permit all cities to establish a police review board. 12 was, I don't know if you want me to go through the whole list, but 12 was the 5th one, revitalize abandoned properties. Then I had the final one, improved process for payments for moving utility lines. And we're getting down to the items which I felt I didn't understand or weren't relevant, I felt, to Apex. And the next one is providing aging water and sewer systems, aid for those. Number 15 was a grace period for emergency declarations. 16 was economic tier designation system. Again, not applicable really to Apex. And 17 was notification timeline for tax changes. So overall, I mean, these are all real important items for various municipalities around here. And it's hard to really choose. I felt like there's probably 12 of them that were really priorities for Apex, and about 5 of them on the bottom of my list, which I felt I could do without. And of course, we only picked 10, so that's a bit of a challenge, but that's where we're at.
Sure.
Where I'm at.
All right, I just want to make sure I have this documented correctly. So it was for you, the top 10 were 15, item 15, 6, and then 16, 7, 1, 9, 10, 2.
Oh man. Actually, I wrote it. Let me share my screen here. Can I do this? Can we experiment here? Where's the share?
Being too complicated here, Terry.
I know, now
I made a spreadsheet.
sharing screens and stuff.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yes, Terry.
Okay.
So that's my list there. And my thought was, I'm not sure what your preference is, Mayor, is that we just declare our rankings and just kind of average them and see where everything goes. And that can be a good starting point for discussion.
Does anybody object to that? Okay. So, all right. So Terry, you will be scribing. That's great. Thank you.
I'm on it, man.
Okay. All right.
Do
So
you want to unscreen? Do you want to unshare those so we can see everybody, or you wanted to do it in real time?
That is fine. Yes, give me a moment to find the button again. So yeah, if you guys read off, I'll scribe. Just tell me like what number. In fact, to speed things up, if you just go down your list, like I would say, 5, 8, 10, 16, 12, and then I'll just transcribe them all and I'll do an average over here, and then I'll put that back on the screen when we're done.
Sounds good.
Okay.
all right. So we'll go next to Councilmember Killersworth.
All right. So, like Terry said earlier, there's a lot of, these are all important. It is hard sometimes to narrow them down, but these are not in particular order. I just went from the top down. So the priorities I have are number one, there's been talk for quite a while about, having broadband like a utility, just like water and electricity. And it's been proven through COVID that it's a basic need now for kids to attend school and for people to do their jobs. So I definitely feel like that's a priority. My number two, also doing lobbying as much as possible to get more federal and state aid directly to municipalities instead of funneling through other entities. And then number three is my third one, expanding incentives and funding for local economic development. That's self-explanatory there. Number four, refine economic tier systems. I agree that it can definitely hurt municipalities that may not be as well off as others if they happen to be in a high economic tier county. I remember talking to other municipal leaders a couple of years ago about this and how they miss out on those grant opportunities frequently because of that requirement. Number six, increasing the state and federal funding for affordable housing needs. We basically need all the help we can get to address the growing crisis. My biggest fear with all of this is that we're going to see too many people homeless related to this epidemic, this pandemic at the end. Number seven, create a permanent and adequate funding stream for local infrastructure needs. If we don't have the ability to address adequately our infrastructure needs because those powers are limited, we need to be able to address it in some way consistently. Number 10, improve statewide funding and support for law enforcement officer training. That we've definitely seen the need for that, especially considering this past year, especially. Then number 11, permitting all cities to establish a police department citizen review board. Number 13, increase public safety grant funding and allowable uses. And then number 16, increase state funding to support public transportation development and operations.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Gant.
Okay, I'm just going to read the numbers. A few things along. There's a lot of similarities. I just did a top 10. So, are you ready, Terry?
I'm ready.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 11, 15, 16, and 17. There's a little bit of difference.
1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 11,
15, 16, 17.
So, Councilmember Gant and Killersworth, are these, I noticed that they are in ascending order. Are these in no particular order in your mind?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Stallings.
Okay, I also did not prioritize them. I'm just going to give you my 10. All right.
Okay.
And I'm going to go from 1 through so forth. So number 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, 15, and 16.
Okay.
All right, I guess I'm up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, my 10 were 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13, and 16.
Mayor Pro Tem, I didn't get yours down when you were gone before me, so I need to track it.
All right, so I'll have to do, I wrote mine like in like names, so like broadband revenue, so I'm gonna do it that way. So sorry. So, and mine are not in any particular order. So, broadband, lost revenue.
What number's that?
2.
Okay.
2.
Sorry about that. You ready?
Yep.
Local economic development.
3.
3.
Thank you. Affordable housing.
6.
Local infrastructure needs.
7.
Leo.
10.
The new state mandated benefits, that's 9, I think. The citizen board, so that's probably 11, I think. Public transportation.
16.
16. And public safety.
13.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, you guys see my screen again?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just make some adjustments here if we're just gonna mark them and not order them. I think we can see some themes emerging. Okay. So there we go. If we sort by sort by let me try that again. So this would be the top 10. We got a tie.
Wow, look at that.
So I guess the thing to decide benefit funding or local options, and then I think we should take a look at the bottom 7 there and see if there's anything that got unnecessarily excluded. Otherwise, this would be our list right here.
Okay. Thank you for doing that, Terry.
Yeah, thank you so much, Terry.
All right. Does anybody want to start that conversation about that last item, replacing, or are you good with what has been presented? Any recommended?
I guess benefit funding versus local options for revenue. So how does local options for revenue differ from, maybe we should look at the full descriptions again to refresh my memory, because there's another one that related to local funding. It was number 7. 15 was alternatives to property taxes. I think this is important because it refers to impact fees and the ability to charge for more general sorts of infrastructure improvements besides the stuff that's directly adjacent to a property being developed, and that's why I included it in my list. And something that I think is important for the town to have a diverse revenue resources. I think if I'm interpreting that correctly, this is basically impact fees, right?
Yeah.
If I may, so that also would encompass, you'll recall there was a conversation in the last long session about legislation that would allow cities to enact a local sales tax.
Yeah.
So that would also be included in this beyond impact fees, but just giving the local elected officials more tools to raise revenue. And of course, that you will recall that discussion about the local option sales tax also required a referendum of the citizens in order to enact that. So the council could propose it, but it would require approval by the voters.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward the local options over the benefits funding.
All right. Anyone else?
I agree. I think they're both important, but I think local options for revenue would be my priority over the benefit funding.
I mean, I voted for that, but I'll chime in and say I always, whenever there's a chance for more local control of stuff, I feel like municipalities in the state are hindered a lot of times by the lack of local control. That's why I picked that one. But it was already tallied as a vote, so I think they're all good choices. Those two are good choices. So
that works for me as well.
All right. Just copy this, paste it here. Okay.
There it is.
There it is.
Awesome job. Thank you, Councilmember Happy.
Yeah, thank
Excellent.
you.
All right, so we have our 10, and we also need to decide who would be the elected official and designated delegate for this. So,
and Mr. Mayor, at this point of information, are we talking about one meeting going to cast one vote?
Is anybody having objections of doing it that way?
No, I mean, the NCLM is having I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Delegate to a single meeting for them. It's what this appointment would consist of.
So just for clarification, so what we need is one person to go online and enter these votes for the town.
Oh.
So they're
okay.
In the past, they have had an advocacy goals summit, but because of COVID, they're not. So this is the way they're doing it. So each town appoints somebody to go online and fill out the form, and Ms. Haas should have the link for that to happen.
Yeah, and I believe I see that. I think they emailed us about that as well. So if that's the case, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that the town council appoint me, Councilmember Mahaffey, since I have this in front of me, as the appointee to go online and enter the 10 items that we just discussed that we see on our screen in front of us.
I second that.
All right, we got a second, Mayor Pro Tem Dozier, with a motion by Councilmember Mahaffey. All right, I'll go ahead and take any other discussion first before we.
Yeah, Mayor, can I chime in? I think it's telling that we're so similar in these things. I think I think where Apex is as far as the growth, it indicates growth in the part of the state we're in. A lot of these things I think are obvious things we should advocate for. So I'm happy to see the agreement here.
I would too, Mayor, and I would also like to say I think these are all things important to our citizens too that we hear from. At least I do, and I think a number of my colleagues probably do too. These I think are important to our residents.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I think that if we just had our a document that said we value all we value all these things, and a lot of things are important. So, and then say, but these are our top 10 or something like that. Then we know that people know that we value everything on the list that was put out there, but these are the 10. So.
Well, I'll email this spreadsheet out to all of us into the town clerk and the town manager if we want to publish this at some point or include it in the minutes or whatnot.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, great teamwork. Let's go ahead and do the vote now. And if you're in agreement with the vote, answer aye. If not, no. Mayor Pro Tem Dozier.
Aye.
Councilmember Killersworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Gant,
Aye.
Councilmember Stallings,
Aye.
Councilmember Mahaffey.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we now move to new business 2, presentation by town manager to give a brief update on various town projects and operations.
Oh, you said brief.
Brief.
Yeah, like not like this, but like this.
Just very quickly, and I know, Council, you get a lot of information in the updates that you get from me, but just for the folks that are tuned in watching. So our major capital projects, the senior center that is dried in, roof started to go on today. They're still finishing up the masonry, and a lot of the windows have been installed. So things are moving along there. A little bit of delay because of weather. It's been so wet. The site has been a little messy to work on. Likewise, for the electric facility, they're doing a lot of work on the inside. Some of the site work has been delayed because of weather. They're just not able to pave. They've even brought in the big jet dryers like you see at some racetracks to try to dry out the ground, and they're just not working as they would hope. So they're just going to have to wait for better weather to pave. But the interior work is going along well. Pleasant Park continues to move along well. Working on more of the segmented walls and some of the storm drainage and utility work. The underground utilities are being put in. All of those are mostly on schedule. There are some weather delays that have moved out senior center and electric facility a little bit. Not terrible. The Beaver Creek Greenway and sewer line. So you recall we had to move a sewer line kind of out of the Beaver Creek itself. And that also has to realign some of the greenway there. Construction is on schedule there for the sewer line portion of the project, about 50% complete right now. And then the greenway will commence once that is done. Highlight that our staff at the water reclamation facility wrapped up the $1.3 million project to replace the tertiary filters at that facility, replace an older technology type of filter with new disc filters. The old ones were end of life and really not very efficient. These are much more efficient and require less maintenance. Work is underway right now with a consulting engineer. We're using the Wooten Company for this to evaluate tank sites for our 4th elevated storage tank. So they've evaluated 3 sites and 4 different tank designs so far, and our staff is reviewing that and may determine that we need to look at additional sites as well, because we want to be sure that they're located strategically for pressure and keeping the storage where we need it, but also we don't want to be sure that we're reducing impact on the location where those tanks are, or where that tank will get built. A roadway rehabilitation work, looking to do about $5 million worth of that. The 12 areas of town have been identified for rehabilitation, and that's all based on pavement condition. And that was a pavement condition study that we had done in 2020. They should be doing the paving for that this spring. We have, 4 signals that are underway. The Beaver Creek Zeno signal, as I mentioned last month, I'm still looking at August of 2022 for completion. The preliminary roadway design has been completed. That's in our technical review committee, and that will keep moving along. The Richardson Road Olive Chapel signal, the design of that is complete. The developer is acquiring 1 more piece of right of way, and then we're just also pending a warrant study. We want to be sure that the traffic volume there will meet the warrants that are needed to get that signal installed. But as soon as we can get DOT approval, we'll be ready to go, because they do have the signal design for that. The Salem Street Tingen Road signal, that plan has been approved. DOT is reviewing encroachments right now. That looks like mid-year 2021 that should be up and running. Likewise, mid-year 2021, the old US 1 and New Hill Holloman signal should be up and running. Their design has been done. They're doing right-of-way acquisition now. As council knows, the Jesse Drive Phase 1 is in final design, and that's on the 1010 intersection side of Jesse Drive. There will be a public hearing on February 7th to get additional public input on that. And then ultimately, there are a couple of different options that council has seen, and staff will need your direction on which way to proceed with that. From the electric department, the Olive Chapel Road street lighting improvement project is complete, and this was over a course of a couple years. So this runs from Kelly Road all the way to east of White Dogwood, and that was to get some light on a very heavily used sidewalk. I will say that I pestered our electric director pretty persistently about getting that done, because as on my way into work in the morning, it's typically dark, and I see people out there walking dogs and are out running, and they have to carry flashlights with them. So now they don't have to do that anymore. So it's very well done, and all that was done in-house by our electric team. Also want to brag on our electric team a little bit. We've been doing some outreach, and one of those outreach things we're doing is we're working with Durham Tech's Line Workers Training School. We're providing some guest instruction. Ken Weatherman, who you all know, I think, has been there helping to teach in that. We've also provided some training materials in order to help keep the costs to the students down. And we're also really looking forward to being able to offer internships to students from Durham Tech to give them some exposure to the field, and also to try to really extol the benefits of working for public power. And that's one of the benefits of having Ken there. He can really talk to the benefits of working for local government. Our electric utility, the reliability numbers were really good. In December, we only had a couple of minor outages, even with some major storm events that came through. That's a direct result of the work that the tree crews do. Of course, as I was preparing these comments yesterday, we had a major outage yesterday. Unfortunately, a squirrel got into one of the legs of the William Street substation and took down about a little over 4,000 customers. Our team had that problem assessed and fixed within 20 minutes. We had to take down a few other folks for a little longer while they replaced some of the equipment, but they were back up as well very quickly. Unfortunately, the outcome for the squirrel was not quite as positive. I want to mention that the town is going to hold a virtual public workshop, and this is on January 19th at 6 o'clock. And this is for the proposed amendments to the future land use map related to transit-oriented development. And more information is available on the town's website. And pleased to announce that on the 2nd of January, that Go Carry began a new bus route that will serve Apex. The Apex Carry Express serves 3 stops. The Apex Park and Ride near Compare Foods on South Hugh Street, a new bus stop on North Salem near Hunter Street, and then at the Cary Depot. There's more information, including the map and the schedules and the like, at Go Carry's website, which is gocarry.org. And then, your team here is working very hard to make the downtown plan a reality. Design projects are underway that will result in construction plans for 3 of the top 10 projects in downtown. The plan, which is the top 3, are to transform the Salem streetscape, energize the alleys, and add a net gain of 200 parking spaces within a 5-minute walk of downtown. More information about that whole process is also available through our website. Just a few more things, and thank you for your patience. We have our citizen satisfaction survey that we do regularly that has been mailed out. That went out in late November. to about 2,800 Apex residents. And then we've received so far only about 200 replies, and we need 400 of those 2,800 in order to get a statistically significant sample. So we're continuing to push out on social media. If you've received that, please reply. Once we get that 400, we will make another link available to anybody else that wants to participate in the survey. And those results will be held separately. So the statistically validated sample of the ones that were mailed to, and then the others. Lastly, I'll mention that, council, thank you for those. I know some people have work commitments, but Insurance Commissioner Mike Causey was here today at our fire station number 5 and presented Chief McGee with a certificate reflecting a change in the fire rating classification. We moved from a class 3 to a class 1 for our inside our corporate limits, which is the highest available. And as I mentioned in the update that I sent out to council, less than 1% of fire departments in the country achieve that rating. And we also moved from a class 6 to a class 2 in the rural areas. So it really reflects a lot of hard work by the fire department to prepare for the inspection, but also really reflects a lot of hard work that they do consistently, because it looks at training, it looks at infrastructure, apparatus, it looks at stations, and it looks at water supply. So that crosses outside of the fire department into others. And it really does also reflect a commitment that the elected officials have made to providing high quality fire protection to the citizens of this town. It's a substantial investment to have the right number of people, the right training and the right apparatus. And our elected officials have been leaders in this, and it certainly shows in this rating, which, as the insurance commissioner said today, should also be reflected in the insurance rates, especially that our commercial citizens pay. And then also it may also trickle down into what you and I pay for our homeowners insurance. But this is also something that Joanna will be able to use to market when she's out trying to recruit businesses to locate here in Apex, to say, we are a class 1 insurance services office rated fire department. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. That was a little less brief than you probably wanted, but there's just a lot of good stuff going on. I think council and the public probably wants to hear about it.
Absolutely, it was worth it. So anytime we can get that information out, you can take as much time you need, sir. That's great.
Thank you, sir.
Great work up by our staff members, indeed. Any other questions or comments before we move on? Okay. One thing I do want to point out before we move to the closed session, I should have presented this during our proclamation, but I just want to remind everyone in attendance tonight that we do have our inaugural Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration weekend on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, 3 different dates. And Mayor Pro Tem, correct me if I'm wrong, we can go to the website and find that information. There's a link on there to access that virtually. Is that right?
I think that's correct. I want to make sure that Ms. Hosh can correct me, or Mr. Havens. I think that's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So we move now to closed session. We have closed session 1 and 2. And the first closed session, possible motion to go into closed session to consult with the town attorney pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3. And then closed session 2, possible motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel matters.
I'll make a motion, Killersworth.
All right, motion Killersworth.
I second it, Stallings.
All right, second Stallings. All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Please answer aye to approve and no to oppose. Mayor Pro Tem Dozier.
Aye.
Councilmember Killersworth,
Aye.
Councilmember Gant,
Aye.
Councilmember Stallings.
Aye.
All right, Councilmember Mahaffey.
Aye.
All right, that passed unanimously. We'll go to closed session. We'll sign off here. All right.
Yep, so you have to leave this meeting and click on the other link that Erica sent you to enter that closed session.
All right, thank you.
And as a reminder, the council will come back into open session later to finish out the meeting.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the time. Okay.
The other one. You can, yes. The other one.
Hey, Erica, can you hear me?
So the vocals are currently being live streamed.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hey there.
We're on our way back.
Sounds good.
Give me a chance to get a start.
Back again.
Okay, Audra, I'm seeing you now again, so I'm enjoying your Wizard of Oz, by the way.
Thank you. This whole, like,
Get the jacket back on. Be all formal.
We got everybody back? All right. Okay. So we'll go one by one. We'll start with a motion to approve resolution to authorize eminent domain related to the Beaver Creek Greenway Extension Project.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second it, Stallings.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Mayor Pro Tem Dozier.
Aye.
All right. Councilmember Killersworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Grant.
Aye.
Ms. Stallings.
Aye.
Mr. Mahaffey.
Aye.
Okay, great. That passed unanimously. Move to the second item. Motion to approve a resolution to authorize eminent domain related to the old US 1 and New Hill Olive Chapel Road traffic signal project. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Mahaffey.
All right.
Second, yeah.
All right. All right. Mayor Pro Tem Dozier.
Aye.
Councilmember Killensworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Gant.
Aye.
Councilmember Stallings.
Aye.
Councilmember Mahaffey.
Aye.
All right, that passed unanimously. Last item, motion to approve a resolution to authorize eminent domain related to the Tension Road Sidewalk Project. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Stallings.
All right.
Second, Killingsworth.
Second, Killersworth. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Dozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, Councilmember Killersworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Gant.
Aye.
Councilmember Stallings.
Aye.
Councilmember Mahaffey.
Aye.
All right, that passed unanimously. That's all we have for tonight. Meeting is adjourned.
Take care.
Thank y'all. Thank you, Erica.